At 44, Jasmine King knew exactly who she was, and perhaps more importantly, who she wasn't. She wasn't chasing youth, she wasn't clinging to relevance, and she certainly wasn't afraid of stepping away. At 5'11", with a naturally poised frame and a quiet, striking presence, Jasmine had spent over 2 decades in the modelling world. It had started, like so many stories do, by chance. A scout, a shop, a moment. From there, it became everything. Catwalks in Paris, editorial spreads in glossy magazines, long-haul flights, luxury hotels, and the kind of restaurants most people only ever read about. She had done it all, and she had done it well. But Jasmine was never the type to overstay her welcome. She saw the shift coming before others did. New faces, younger energy, different expectations, and she made a decision most people struggle with. She chose to leave. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Leave before you're asked to, she once told her husband, Philip. Philip, a quiet, thoughtful accountant, 10 years her senior, had been her anchor for the past 5 years. He adored her in a way that was steady, not showy. The kind of love that remembered how she took her tea. The kind that insisted she didn't need to prove anything anymore. They lived in a beautiful 4-bedroom Victorian villa in West London, with Dino. A 3-year-old terrier, small, chaotic, completely convinced he ran the house, which, in truth, he did. Life was good, comfortable, happy. Her parents had retired 7 years earlier to the South Coast. 2 former teachers, still deeply in love, still quietly proud of both their daughters. And then there was Melissa, her younger sister by 2 years. Closer than anyone, different in every way. Melissa was practical, grounded, and a single mother to 6-year-old Arabella. Now, Jasmine wasn't what you'd call naturally maternal. She didn't instinctively know how to entertain children or speak their language. But with Arabella, there was an understanding, a quiet coexistence. They didn't need to be best friends. They just needed to be comfortable. And they were. But despite all this, despite the beautiful home, the loving husband, the financial security, there was a question Jasmine couldn't shake. What next? Modelling had been her identity for so long, and now it wasn't. She had tried acting. It hadn't worked. She was honest enough to admit it. Wooden, unconvincing, forgettable. Some roles didn't even make the final cut. Designing clothes, not her world. She didn't need the money. Thanks to careful investments, property, shares, a few smart startups guided by Philip, she could have easily done nothing. But doing nothing wasn't the problem. It was the feeling. The gap. And if she was being honest, Philip's minor heart attack 6 months earlier had changed something in her. He had recovered, fully. But it was a reminder. Life wasn't endless. Time mattered. Presence mattered. She wanted to be there, fully. And so she stepped away from modelling almost entirely, except for the occasional job with designers she loved, but otherwise, she was done. And then came the Saturday brunch. Once a month, same place. A quiet little local restaurant before the rush. Just Jasmine, Melissa, and Arabella. That morning, everything was normal. Arabella was bored. She poked at her food, slouched in her chair, clearly unimpressed with both the menu and the company. Melissa sighed. "I'll just nip to the toilet," she said. "Keep an eye on her." Jasmine nodded. And then it happened. A small accident. A bowl of soup, a slip, a crash. The contents spilled across the floor. Silence. Then tears. Arabella burst into them instantly, overwhelmed, embarrassed, turned. Jasmine didn't think. She just moved. scooped her up gently. Soft voice, calm presence. "It's okay," she murmured. "It's just soup." She guided her away from the table, toward the far end of the restaurant. There was a plant, a soft light installation, something to distract. "Let's walk," Jasmine said quietly. Arabella sniffled, but nodded. They walked. Slowly at first, then again, back and forth. A rhythm. And then something. Another child joined. Then another. 2 girls, giggling, following behind. "We want to play too," one of them said. Jasmine blinked, confused. "What game?" she asked. "The walking game," they replied. Jasmine had no idea what that meant. But she kept walking. Now with 3 children, then 5, then more. A quiet procession up and down the restaurant. She felt ridiculous. But she didn't stop. Because Arabella had stopped crying and was now smiling. Eventually, Jasmine clapped her hands lightly. "Okay," she said gently. "Time to go back." The children dispersed, returning to their tables. Jasmine turned, walked back. Melissa was already seated, trying and failing not to laugh. "What on earth was that?" she asked. Jasmine sighed. "I have no idea." One of the parents approached. "Excuse me," she said. "Do you run classes?" Jasmine frowned. "No." "I've been looking for something for my daughter," the woman continued. "She hates ballet, but whatever that was, she loved it." Jasmine hesitated, then smiled politely. "I'm not sure." "She's starting something," Melissa interrupted. Jasmine shot her a look. "Confidence classes," Melissa continued, "for children." Jasmine blinked. "What?" Melissa leaned in. "You already have students," she whispered. And that was the beginning. A week later, Melissa found her a local hall, Wednesday evenings, 6:30 p.m. Jasmine had no plan, no curriculum, no real idea what she was doing. But 4 children showed up. So she began. "Walk into the room," she told them. "Not like models. Like themselves." "Stand tall," she said. "Not because you're better than anyone, but because you're not less than anyone either." They listened. Week by week, it grew. 4 became 8, 8 became 15. Within 6 months, 50 children, 3 sessions a week, an assistant. And something unexpected happened. Jasmine changed. She wasn't the quiet observer anymore. She spoke, guided, encouraged. Not about beauty, not about perfection, but about presence, confidence, self-worth. Parents noticed. Children changed. And Jasmine finally felt full again. But here's the twist. One evening, after a class, a familiar voice called out, "Jasmine!" She turned and froze. It was the original scout, the one who had discovered her all those years ago. Older now, but unmistakable. "I've been watching what you're doing," he said. Jasmine smiled politely. "It's incredible," he continued. She nodded. "Thank you." He paused, then said something that stopped her completely. "I didn't discover you, you know." Jasmine frowned. "What do you mean?" He smiled. "It wasn't chance, that day in the shop." Silence. "Your sister sent me." Jasmine's breath caught. "Melissa," she whispered. He nodded. "She told me there was a girl who saw the world differently. Said I should meet you." Jasmine stood still. Processing. All these years, he continued. I thought I gave you your career. He shook his head. But watching you now? A soft smile. I think she gave you everything. Jasmine didn't speak. She couldn't, because suddenly everything made sense. The camera, the confidence, the push, the brunch, the lie, the classes. Melissa hadn't just supported her. She had quietly, gently, directed her entire life. That night, Jasmine walked home slowly. Opened the door. Philip looked up. You okay? He asked. Jasmine smiled. Yes, she said. A pause. Then she added, I think I've just realised. He tilted his head. What? Jasmine laughed softly. I was never the model. Silence. I was the project. Sometimes we think we're finding our own way, making our own choices, building our own lives. But every now and then, there's someone behind the scenes, not controlling the story, just nudging it, quietly, lovingly, until we finally become who they always knew we could be. If this story spoke to you, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel to support more stories like this. Turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next.